Alright, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome in. This is BigMutation.com. Welcome back here to another video, guys. Welcome to my analytics predictions for week 1. If you guys are new to the channel, basically what we do here is we break down every single game. Make sure you guys go check out the pick show that I posted out yesterday. Make sure you guys go check that out. I know that was out extremely late, but you know what, it is what it is. Week 1 is wacky anyway. So make sure you guys join that. Make sure you guys join the Discord. Follow me on Twitch. Join the NBA fantasy, everything like that. Like I said, in today's video here, we're going to break everything down. We're going to break all the games down, what I expect for certain players. We'll also take a look at my final score predictions, as well as my picks against the spread and betting the over and under. That's what we do here. And we also do have like best game of the week, worst game of the week, ass kicking of the week, which we will get to in a minute. If you guys are new to the channel, we have 5 of those. We got best game of the week, worst game of the week, we got trickiest game of the week, 1 point game of the week, and ass beating of the week. So yeah, those are also included in these videos. But like I said, if you guys haven't already, make sure to hit the like, subscribe for me. I do appreciate y'all support. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive into this. Alright, let's get it. Thursday night football here. We had the Cowboys at the Eagles here. By the way, this is today's game, because by the time you guys are watching this is on Thursday here. I might add a little bit more in the future between the analytics videos. I haven't really made my decision on that. I was going to do like betting money, so, you know, me bet the money line and stuff. I might have some more stuff for you guys next week, but you know what, like I said, week 1's wacky, so it is what it is. This week we're just going with what we do normally. But this game, I got the Eagles win this one 31-14. I don't know, I just don't really see a scenario how the Cowboys win here. Like I said, the Eagles, they're coming off, they're winning they're getting their ring ceremonies tonight. So hopefully that is a blast. Also, it's just the Eagles' death, man. Like I said, the Cowboys, they traded Michael Parsons literally just a week ago, and I thought that was the stupidest move the Cowboys could ever make. Now, I mean, honest, if the Cowboys did keep Michael Parsons, I do think this game is at least somewhat closer than what my score prediction is right now. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Eagles here, 31-14. I think they absolutely destroy them in this match. You know, Jalen Hurts, I'm pretty sure he's gonna get like a push touchdown. Saquon Barkley, I think it's going to go off in this game. Cowboys rush defense, I don't think it's really that great in general. So I just feel more confidence with the Eagles or this one, you know, being at home in the ring ceremony. Plus, I don't know what Dallas's game plan is going to be here. Are they more going to concentrate on their offense and try to keep up with Philadelphia? But if you do that, you know you're going to allow points to Philadelphia, because the Cowboys defense is definitely not good enough to hang around with the Eagles. I just don't really have a lot of success. Plus, the Eagles are still one of the best defensive teams in football. Yes, they did get rid of like almost all their defensive players. They're kind of like San Francisco. They got rid of all their defensive players in the off season, and that was kind of scary there. But yeah, in this one, I just feel like I have to go Philadelphia in prime time, ring ceremonies in their house. I think AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, them two would do just enough to help out Jalen Hurts. And then for Dallas, I am curious how Dak Prescott's going to play in this game. I actually do think the Eagles getting the ring ceremonies will kind of motivate him for that. So I am going to see what they do and what Dallas's defense is like. But I'll be paying a little close attention to that. But I just feel like I have to go with I just feel like the right answer here is the Eagles. It just is on George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb. I wonder how those two are going to connect with each other. But yeah, like I said, all eyes on me on Philadelphia. So I'm going to take Philadelphia minus the 7.5. I'm actually feeling pretty comfortable about that. Like I said, I just don't really see a scenario how the Cowboys win this game, especially in Philadelphia. And I'm going to take the over 47.5, and I'm feeling pretty darn confident about it. There is a scenario that this game could be like a defensive war type game, but I'm more all on the Eagles with this one. So Eagles all the way, and that's what we got first things up on Thursday Night Football. All right, next up we have the Chiefs taking on against the Chargers in Brazil. And listen, I kind of went back and forth with this one, honestly. At first, I actually did pick the Chargers to win this game. Believe it or not, I actually did do it. I know it sounds retarded, but I actually did take the Chargers to win this game at some point. But now I'm looking at him like Patrick Mahomes. This game is not even in LA, which is kind of a good break for the Chiefs. It's in Brazil, so what I talked about yesterday. Hopefully the field is good enough for. Hopefully the field's good enough in Brazil. Last year, like I said, I think when Jacksonville and some other team. I know Jacksonville went down there. I don't know who else went down there, but I heard the field was absolutely horrible. So hopefully they can get that cleaned up this year. But I'm gonna go with the Chiefs, man. Like I think the Chiefs are the safer option. I do want to see how the Chiefs play, especially getting their ass whooped in the Super Bowl. I do want to see how the Chiefs respond to that. They're basically running it back with the same roster, which I don't blame the Chiefs because that's probably the smartest thing to do. Look, I can't talk for a minute. The smartest thing to do here. Either way, I do expect this game to be close. Don't get me wrong. I expect this game to be close. I think it's going to be nail biting here. I'm gonna take the Chiefs 24-20 in this game. Like I said, I'm kind of expecting mediocre scoring for both teams. Now the Chiefs could be missing Rashee Rice in this game. If that's the case, then that's the case, you know. But I think the Chiefs also have some other good receiving weapons. You know, Hollywood Brown. They still have Xavier Worthy, so they still have their core plus Travis Kelce. I hope he plays great this year. I think everybody can tell he's a little off last year, maybe because all the distractions, what's going on with him and his play. But I do think he's coming back for a better season now. And meanwhile, for the Chargers, I'm really looking forward to the Chargers this year too. But we kind of already know we're gonna get out of there. Jim Harbaugh, you know, he's a running coach. He likes to run the football. So I think that's the Chargers' main weakness on their team right now is the running back position because they only have like one at least decent running back on their team right now. Besides that, they got like Blab and Connie, who I think is gonna have a really good season as well. I really want to see how he plays against his KC secondary. And plus the Chiefs, these two teams have always been like pretty decent at average defensive teams. So I that's why I'm kind of scoring like kind of in the middle a little bit. I'm not really expecting too much scoring, but I'm expecting like a little bit. I'm expecting both offenses to have some moments. I'm expecting both defenses to have some moments. Chris Jones, especially Chris Jones, I think he's going to have a great game in this one. I think he'll get multiple sacks. I do think that Travis Kelce will actually get a touchdown in this game with Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's going to get a touchdown in this game. Just for the Chargers, I think Lad McConkey is going to get a touchdown. I think somebody else is going to get a touchdown for this game. But yeah, I got 24-20 in this one. I'm going to take the Chiefs back here minus 3.5, and I'm actually feeling pretty comfortable about that. I just don't see a scenario how Patrick Mahomes goes to Brazil and loses week 1. I just think that's stupid. You know, if you pick that as stupid, it just sounds stupid in my opinion. And then I'm actually gonna take the under 46.5 for this one, and that could be a little risky. I think it just depends on both of these offenses play in week 1. But like I said, I'm kind of expecting a little mediocre scoring, nothing too crazy, but mediocre scoring here. But I think if I have to choose either one of the two, I did bet it at 44 points. Therefore, I have to take the under in this one, which I actually do prefer. I actually do prefer this game being in the under instead of the over. So with this one, I'm expecting a pretty decent battle. I'm expecting this game to go back and forth from start to finish in Brazil. It should be a good one if the field's alright. But this one, I'm going to lean more towards the safe side. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Alright, next up here, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons here. Listen, I bet you guys can already tell by the score. 30-27, I'm taking the Bucs here. I think this is going to be an absolute movie. Like I said, both teams have a phenomenal offenses. I just don't know what to expect, man. I'm expecting like both offenses to go off. I can see each quarterback, Baker Mayfield and Michael Penix, I can see them both having an interception because there's probably going to be a time in this game that they just take huge risk because, you know, they're just going a whole bunch of points. This is like hot news on TV. There's a breakapalooza, and then they just go out there and just do a whole bunch of interceptions, which I'm not going to say a whole bunch of interceptions, but I'll say like a little bit. what, but I feel pretty comfortable about the Bucks here. I think they'll take care of business here, 30-27. Like I said, I'm expecting the game to be shoot. I'm expecting everybody to score touchdowns in this game. Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Bucky Irving, Cade Otton, even if he plays. I see everybody scoring touchdowns. Atlanta, I already know Bijan Robinson is going to get a touchdown. Michael Penix might get a touchdown of his own. Drake London, I think he will get a touchdown. So there's going to be touchdowns all over the place. Both quarterbacks. I might be nuts. I think both quarterbacks are probably going to throw at least 250 yards in this game for both teams. But I just look at a game like this and I think the answer for me is like who's the better defensive team. I would think, and right now, I think my answer is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll give them the slight edge on defense. So that's why I was kind of going at. Like I said, this game is in Atlanta, so I don't really like picking against home teams in week 1. But when you have to, I just feel like the Bucks are the better team. Like I just feel like the Bucks. But this is kind of a revenge game for Bucks too, because last time they were in Atlanta, they lost in overtime in a heartbreaker. So even though the Bucks absolutely deserved to win that game before, but it was an absolute heartbreaker. I do think the Buccaneers are going to remember that when they walk into Atlanta this weekend. So I'm gonna go with the Bucks in this one. Like I said, this game could go either way. It's in Atlanta, which could point you towards the direction in Atlanta. But like I said, week 1 for me, I think it just depends on who do you think is the better team right now, and my answer is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Plus, I trust their defense a little bit more than Atlanta's right now. So, even though I'm expecting good stuff out of Atlanta, like I said, Bijan, Brian, Michael Penix, I'm expecting good stuff out of them. Drake London. I know what I'm going to get at the Buccaneers. I know I'm going to get a good Baker Mayfield, a consistent Mike Evans, a good Bucky Irving, Rashad Wright. So yeah, that's kind of part of me leaning towards Tampa Bay on this one. Tampa Bay minus 1.5. I mean, I'm not shocked that the spread is that low for that game. I can absolutely understand it. Like I said, this game should kind of go back and forth. And then over 46.5. I said, and when a game like this, I don't care what the over. I don't care what the line is. I have to go over on this one. Like I said, I'm kind of expecting explosions from both teams. Both offenses should go off. But at the end of the day, I do think this one will be a great game. But I'm going to lean towards the Buccaneers. Alright, next up we have the Bengals taking on against the Cleveland Browns. And listen, 28-20, you guys might be looking at the score and be like, what the hell? And I'm going to tell you why here in just a few moments. Okay, here's why. So, you know how Cincinnati is offensively, right? Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, like we already know what to expect out of them offensively. You already know the Bengals are going to have many games this season where they go out there and score 30 plus and maybe 40 plus points, and it's going to happen. That's why my scoring predictions mainly is going to be so high with them, because they're probably going to be out here scoring the rock all over the place. But at the same time, Cleveland's defense, I don't know how it is. It's normally really good, but I don't know how it's going to change. And they still have Myles Garrett, so I guess they could still be a pretty good defensive team. But here's the thing that's leading me about this game. Sure, Cincinnati is okay. Everybody's probably looking at this game and saying like, oh, okay, Cincinnati here. It's a dead brainer. There's the easy pick in the world, and I don't really think that pick is that easy, to be honest with you. And the other reason I hesitate about this, because the Bengals, they have a history of starting slow, especially at the start of this season. Remember, they started 1-5 last year, and I think that's a big point of why they did not make the playoffs last year. So for this one, man, I have 28-20 on this one. Like I said, I see the Bengals offense throwing up points all over on the Cleveland Browns defense. It don't matter what kind of defense you are. Like, that's what just kind of a team Cincinnati is. It does not matter what kind of team you are, what kind of defensive team, and that doesn't matter. Cincinnati's going to throw up their points. The question is, can you score on Cincinnati's defense? And mainly the answer has been yes. And it's always been yes. For that answer, can you score on Cincinnati's defense? That's been an absolute yes, because Cincinnati's defense, it's been one of the worst in football in so long. But that's why I think Cleveland can score points, because they're playing against one of the league's worst defenses, and I think it will be Cincinnati Bengals. But I just think they'll get worn out at the end. I don't think Cleveland has enough firepower on offense to be able to keep them on the field long enough to where I think that Cincinnati is going to be on the field. So I think time of the possession, I think it's going to be really crucial in this game. I think Cincinnati definitely needs to win that if they're going to win this game, which I do think they will. So that's just kind of my reasoning here. Like I said, Cleveland can score in Cincinnati's defense because it's so bad, but at the same time, I don't think their offense is going to be on the field enough because, Cleveland's offense is not really that good to the point that they're going to limit Cincinnati here. So I'm going to take the Bengals here 20-20. Cincinnati minus 5.5. I actually kind of hesitated about that one, honestly. I was really thinking about taking Cleveland with plus 5.5. I was really thinking about it, but I'm not going to, even though this game is a little suspicious, but I'm not going to. And then over 47.5, I feel pretty comfortable with that. Like I previously said, Cincinnati's defense is so bad. Cleveland's going to score points. Bengals are going to score points because they're a terrific offense. So I feel pretty good about that 47.5, taking the over on that. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to lean towards Cincinnati's offense on this one, getting the job done. Like I said, their defense will kind of let them down this season, but hopefully they can start off with a win. I actually did make a bet with you guys in my picture yesterday. I said if Cincinnati loses this game, I won't pick them ever again in week 1. But yeah, come on, Cincinnati. Don't make us look like an ass. You got to win this game. All right, next up, the Dolphins and the Indianapolis Colts. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins here. I'm gonna take them 23-17. This game is kind of interesting because I'm making kind of a lot of risk when it comes down to like the point total up here, and then you have the over and under. The only thing I really feel good about in this game is Miami minus 1.5. That's the only thing I really feel good about this one. The only reason why I say that is because I can see this game going in multiple different directions. I can see this game being a defensive game where both defenses just ball out, which I don't think that would be the case. I can also see this game being at the point that it's going to be a shootout, like it's going to be like 29 to 23, something like that. And I can absolutely see it because I think the Colts throw up points at home. That's actually a true thing. The Colts do throw up points at home, and I believe Joe Flacco is starting at quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. I just don't like this Indy team. I don't. Sure, they still have depth. Like at the receiving game is kind of questionable, but they still have Jonathan Taylor. And I think, if I'm being honest, I think Indiana's going to have to really rely on him carrying the team this year. I mean, if it's not Jonathan Taylor back there, I don't know who's really going to carry the workload offensively. And defensively, they always been mid, but they haven't really been like too good a defensive team as of late. So I think that's another thing here why I'm not picking Indianapolis, because I just don't trust their defense enough to stop Miami. Plus, like I said yesterday about Miami, they play their best football at the beginning of the season. Week 1 early, like they're healthier. This is when they're fresh. I believe this is when they play their best football. It's just early on. That's just a Miami thing. It's early on in the year, and like I said yesterday, I know that a couple years ago they've been at home in week 1. They're away in week 1 this week, but I still have confidence in Miami here. So, but I can't walk away from I think Miami has better weapons offensively anyway. Tuilaloa, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Stephon Achane. I think that's going to be a little bit too much for the Colts defense to handle. So that's why I kind of lean towards Miami in this one. Plus, I trust their pass rush defense to get to Joe Flacco a little bit at the point that I do think that Miami should be able to win the time possession battle on Indianapolis. But like I said, I can see this game going either ways. I can see this game being a defensive war, or I can see this being a absolute shootout here. But 23-17 is what I got here for the score. I'm going to lean towards Miami because just because I believe their offensive defense is just slightly better than Indianapolis is right now. Like I said, I'm going to take Miami with the 1.5, and then the under 47.5. Like I said, I'm kind of taking a huge risk with that because if this game is a defensive war, then I'm definitely going to win that spread pick over there. But if it's a shootout, which I can absolutely see it for some reason, I'm probably going to lose that. Like I will keep my record this year with the over and under. So just to let you guys know about that. But But yeah, I'm gonna go with a slight under. I do think there's gonna be mediocre scoring, not too much scoring, nothing crazy. But I'm gonna lean towards Miami. Like I said, I trust their pass rush and I trust their team more. All right, next up here we have the Panthers taking on against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is a pretty interesting game here altogether. Like I said, I think that both of these two teams are probably going to be one of the most improved teams in football all season long. But I think this game is going to be very entertaining. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, nothing too crazy scoring. I think it's going to be pretty damn entertaining. Two teams I already said that's probably going to be one of the most improving teams in all of football. Carolina does have somewhat of excitement going into this year. Yeah, they're probably not the worst team in that division, right? Bryce Young, I think he's starting to feel more comfortable. He's got a new receiver in the system. I know they just traded Adam Thielen, but if you're the Panthers, you gotta feel somewhat confident going into this year. Meanwhile for Jacksonville, Jacksonville should feel kind of the same thing. Like they actually have a chance to get back into the playoffs. Hopefully that Trevor Lawrence can stay healthy for the entire season. They picked up Travis Hunter, which I'm very excited to see. I'm really excited to see him play at both positions, both cornerback and wide receiver. So Brandon Strange leading the way at tight end for Jacksonville. I think I'm leaning towards the Jags just because I just feel like they have more guys that have more experience. Plus, they're at home in this game, which I do think that will help out a ton. So I do think this game will be like tied, like, you know, Jacksonville scores a touchdown or Carolina scores a touchdown first. I think they'll rotate between touchdowns. I think both defenses will have good moments in this one as well. But I'm gonna trust the veteran Trevor Lawrence to get this one done here. So I'm gonna go 24-21. Like I said, this is kind of like a simpler explanation here, just because I just trust Jacksonville more and just a tiny bit more. Like I said, if this game was in Carolina, I probably would go with the Panthers, to be completely honest with you. But nah, I'm not gonna do it. 24-21. I'm gonna lean towards the Jags. I have a feeling I'm gonna get this score right. I have a feeling I'm gonna get this one right. Under 46.5. I actually feel pretty good about that. Like I said, I'm not expecting a mediocre. I'm not expecting both teams to go out there and score like 30-some points. I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting this game to have good defensive moments, good offensive moments from both sides. I think this game will get off to a slow start, and then I think we'll pick it up. But yeah, I'm gonna take Jacksonville minus 3.5 too. Like I said, I know I only predicted to win by 3, but I'm gonna lean towards Jacksonville over there with that 3.5 for spread. But under 46.5 is what I'm really feeling good about. If I'm being honest, I would bet on this one actually. If you guys would, under 46.5, I feel pretty good about that. Bet under that. But like I said, Carolina, I do think they're gonna be an interesting team this year. Let's see how they do. But who am I trusting more? I'm gonna trust Jacksonville for right now. But like I said, I'm kind of expecting this one to be a pretty entertaining, interesting game. Speaking of interesting games here, we got the New England Patriots taking on against the Las Vegas Raiders. Like I said, this is another game that I can see that's going to be entertaining. I think this one can go back and forth. I think this one can go either way. Both teams have talent across the board, offensively and defensively, but I think I'm gonna lean with the home team here. This pick reminds me of the Jacksonville versus Carolina that we just covered. I just think this one is going to be coming down to the last moment. It's going to come down to which team can out execute. And I don't respect Pete Carroll. I think Pete Carroll is a great coach, and I'm glad Vegas got him this offseason. But when I look at the Patriots, I like who's running over there. I like who's running the organization over there. I think he'll out-execute the Raiders. Plus, the Raiders are not really known of being an out-executing team. Raiders don't really out-execute their opponents. It's normally the opponents or whatever who out-execute the Raiders. The Raiders in history has been probably one of the worst teams in football in executing when it comes down to coming down the stretch. And I know the Raiders are probably going to change this year. And plus, the Raiders got a ton to be excited for this year. You actually got a good, decent offense. You know, with Geno Smith, Austin Gentry, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers if he decides to stay. So like I said, Vegas, they got some talent offensively. And the Patriots, they got some talent offensively too. They got Drake May, they got Hunter Henry, they got Stephon Diggs, they got Stevenson. So I like the Patriots as well. Like I said, I think both of these two teams are evenly matched. To be compliant with you, like I said, this is one of those picks that I just feel like I just have to go with the home team here. If the Raiders was home, I probably would take them 23-20 because I just trust the home team more in this situation to get to make that last play. But here's the real reason why I'm picking the Patriots here. The real reason why I'm really taking the Patriots here is because I do not trust the Raiders secondary. The Raiders secondary always been kind of suspicious. The Raiders secondary, they have not really been that good as of late. So I feel like if the Raiders secondary can step up, I think they would actually have a chance here. But I'm not going to do it, man. I'm not going to do it. I don't trust them that much. I think New England is a better defensive team here. Like I said, both teams have firepower offensively, so I'm kind of expecting them to have a lot of good moments offensively for both teams. But my question is, who do I think is the better defensive team going into this game? I would probably slightly give to the Patriots in this one. So 23-20, like I said, this is kind of like Jacksonville and Carolina. Pretty entertaining game. This game can go either way, back and forth, but I'm going to lean more towards the Patriots being at home in this game. I think being in Foxborough really helps. And then the two lines over here, over 43.5, and then the Patriots minus 2.5. I feel pretty comfortable about both of them. I'm feeling pretty good about both of those. And meanwhile, with this big 23-20, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Nothing too crazy here, but this is just like I said, this is one of those picks that I have to leave in the home team to win. Alright, next up here we got the Cardinals taking on against the New Orleans Saints. This is one of those picks that, like I said in the picture yesterday, this was probably one of my more obvious picks of the entire week. Obviously, I'm taking Arizona. There's no way I'm taking New Orleans. Like I said, Arizona, they should be a well improved team this year. I'm very excited what the Cardinals are going to do this year. Obviously, they got talent all over the board. They got talent offensively. Like I said, they haven't really did anything to their offense, like changes wise, all season wise. Arizona is still Arizona. They're still going to be a really good team. I would take that back. They're not going to be really good, but they're going to be at least somewhat good. Actually, okay, there we go. So they're going to be somewhat good. Kyle Murray, James Conner. I love Amari Harrison Jr. I think he's going to be out for a really good season as well. James Conner will do just enough. Trey McBride, who I'm really excited for. I think he's going to do great this season as well. Like I said, this pick was probably one of the easier picks for me this entire weekend. For this week, I just feel like the Cardinals are just significantly the better team in this matchup, so I feel pretty good with the Cardinals. I'll take them 27-13, but something is telling me that this game is going to be close for absolutely no reason. Like, no reason at all this game is going to be close. It's going to come down to the end, but I was like, nah. I think the Cardinals should be able to win this game by at least 2 or more touchdowns. I don't trust the Saints. I don't trust Spencer Rattler. I don't trust the Chris Olave. I don't trust the Saints offense, and I don't really trust the Saints defense either. I think Arizona's going to throw up a little bit more points, and I can see Arizona even throwing up more than 27 points. I can see Arizona throwing up like 31, 34 points. Like I say, if the Cardinals come into New Orleans and just take care of business and do what they're supposed to do, the Cardinals should be able to walk out of here with a win. But like I said, week 1 is always suspicious. It's always questionable. You always got to watch out for those type of games here. Like I said, the Cardinals are significantly the better team here. They should be able to win here. And I feel good about both. Taking Arizona minus 6.5. I'm actually going to go with the under with 43.5. Like I said, I do think there is a chance that the Cardinals just completely blow it out of the water, and then they win like 34-13, something like that, which is probably the most ideal. Because the Saints, like I said earlier in my pre-game, like I said, I don't think New Orleans. I think they're probably going to be one of the worst teams in football this season. So, the Saints always have a suspicious weird of just starting off hot. So we'll see how that goes. But for right now, I'm going Arizona. I think Arizona is a safer pick here. I think they're the better team, significantly the better team here. Arizona, come on, man, don't make it look like an ass. You should be able to win this game with no problem. Alright, next up we got the Pittsburgh Steelers playing against the New York Jets. And hold up, before I get into anything, you guys know what we do here on the Mother YouTube channel. The awards are coming back. That's right, the awards are coming back, and in my personal opinion, I think this one is obvious. I don't think we have to explain anything. Let's just go ahead and get to our first award of the year. This is this week's worst game of the week. I think this one is pretty obvious. It's just me looking at the matchup and just me saying that, like, Steelers versus the Jets. Okay, so when you look at these two teams, what am I really looking for? I'm looking for defense, because both of these two teams don't really have anything to provide offensively. So I'm looking at these two teams, but there's a lot of revenge games. So that's kind of having me up a little bit, right? The revenge games. Aaron Rodgers playing against the Jets. Justin Fields playing against the Steelers. Okay, so it's a revenge game for both quarterbacks. But the only reason why I'm going to go to Steelers here, and I basically only have like a basic reasoning for this game. I don't really have anything to say or break down about this game because I already know what to expect. But the only reason I'm going to go with the Steelers here is because I trust their defense. I trust their coaching better. Like I said, I do think this one's going to be a defensive game, of course. Like I said, I'm not expecting a lot of scoring in this one, like, at all. I think there's going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of moments where teams go 3 and out. They punt. This is just one of those boring games I just see on there all the time. So I'm going to, but like I said, the better team, the better defensive team here is the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm going to ride with them in this one, 13-10 here. Like I said, not expecting a lot of scoring. I'm not expecting Aaron Rodgers to go out there and throw up a whole bunch of numbers. Same thing as Justin Fields. Especially playing against a defense like Pittsburgh, I'm not really expecting for them to go out there and just start nunchucking balls, stuff like that. But wait, was Pittsburgh favored by 6.5 in this game? Because that does seem pretty awkward. Wait, what was Pittsburgh? What was Pittsburgh favored in this game? Are they really favored by 6? They're favored by 2.5. Okay, it's my bad. I made a little typing error there, but I guess I'm going to take the Steelers, but that's only by 2.5, so that pick remains the same anyway. And I feel really good about this. Take the under with this game, no matter what. Like I said, this game is not an offensive game for either team. I like the defense for both teams here, but I'm going to lean towards the Steelers. Like I said, the coaching and the defense, I think that's really good for me. Plus, I think the Steelers will have just enough talent offensively just squeak by with a 3-point win here, 13-10. Like I said, I'm kind of expecting a defensive war out of these two. Alright, next up we have the Giants taking on against the Washington Commanders here. Something's telling me suspiciously that the Giants are going to hang around in this game, and I do think they will, because actually the Giants actually don't really have the best offense in the world. I mean, I think everybody can agree with me there. Giants don't really got the best offense in the world, but the Giants actually does not have a bad defense, and especially them up front. I don't think the Giants have a bad defense at all. I think they can hang around the game, but I think for the Giants defense, even though they are underrated, and I do think they're going to be just fine this year, watching out after Washington's offense, I think that's just going to be too much for the Giants, man. I just don't see a scenario how New York could just go out there and just hang around with an offense like Washington. Washington, in my opinion, probably has one of the best offenses in entire football. Jaden Daniels, I hope he does not repeat CJ Stroud from last year, but if you guys know what I mean, between the rookie campaign and the sophomore campaign, also, I'm hoping that he does not repeat that. I don't think he will, but let's just pray. I don't think he will. But anyway, I'm going to lean towards Washington. I think Washington's a better team. I think the Giants have a little bit too much to watch out for here. Defensively, and that's just kind of like leaning me. Okay, so I sound like okay. I just feel like I have to go with Washington here. So I'm gonna take Washington here, 27-18 here. Like I said, Deebo Samuel, wondering how he fits with the system. Terry McLaurin, he got his contract finally. It was about time he got his contract on that. Jaden Daniels, he should be able to get a touchdown himself. Terry McLaurin, he's probably going to get a touchdown in this game. Actually, I would probably bet on that. Over 45.5, I feel pretty good about that. Like I said, I do think both teams will have some good moments offensively, and both teams will have some good moments defensively too, but I'm expecting more moments offensively, especially with Malik Neighbors. Probably the only person that Washington really has to watch out for here is Malik Neighbors, because I do think he's going to go off in this game. Let me tell you that. Malik Neighbors, he's probably going to have like over 200 some yards in this game. But anyway, I gotta go with Russell Wilson leading the way for the Giants. I do not know how that's going to work out, so I'm going to take the team that we more know of right now, and who we think is the better team right now, which I do think is Washington Commanders. So, and then 6.5. I mean, I'm feeling okay about that. Maybe that's a little risky. I don't know here, but 27-18 is my score. I'm leaning towards Washington to win this one in DC in Week 1, just because we know their team more and we know what to expect. And I think they have more talent on both sides of the ball. So the edge here goes to Washington. All right, next up we have Tennessee at Denver. All right, let's just go ahead and lock this in, right? Because I'm pretty sure everybody can agree with me, and I think this is probably one of the easiest words of the week. Let's just go ahead and give it to us, right? Let's just go ahead and give it to us, right? I think this one is pretty clear. This is by far, without a question, this is the ass beating of the week. My personal favorite award, the ass beating of the week. Come on, 34-10. I'm not expecting this game to be. Does anybody really think this game is going to be close? Listen, Tennessee does have some firepower on their offense a little bit, but they have a rookie quarterback who can ward, and they have a lot of players that I don't really know on this roster, and they're going to be going into Mile High and playing against a defense like that, a team like that, who I think is going to be that team this year. And the Denver Broncos, there's nothing telling me in this game that this game is going to be close. Like nothing is telling me that. Now, I do want to give some hope to Tennessee. Like I said, I hope they do keep this game close, competitive, but I just don't see it. I just don't see a way that this game is remarkably competitive. I don't see how this game is like. I can see Denver winning this game at even more than I'm predicting right now. I can see Denver winning this game by 30 plus. Like there's nothing telling me inside that this game is going to be remarkably close for a second. Here, if you're Denver, I just feel like this is the game that I don't really have to really get into anything because I already know what to expect. I'm pretty sure everybody's agreeing with me right now. But Denver, like I said, if Denver loses this one, I will have some questions and concerns about Denver going into this year. If Denver actually finds a way to lose this game, which, if I'm being honest, that would be kind of embarrassing. But what was I going to say? But yeah, like I said, Denver, they're significantly the better team here. They should be able to take care of business. I'm not even going to review these two. Over 42.5, minus 8.5. I'm not even going to get into that because you guys should be doing that too. But anyway, 34-10. Like I said, I'm not expecting this game to be close. Denver should be able to win this one from point A to point B. All four quarters of the game, especially going into Mile High, where Tennessee is going to have to go to this game. It's going to be hard. I just think this is going to be a miserable night for Tennessee. So 34-10, Broncos take control in week 1. All right, next up we have the 49ers playing against the Seattle Seahawks, and let me tell you, this is an interesting game here. And listen, I think this game, I went back and forth with this game originally. I was thinking about Seattle because they're at home and I think they have enough playmakers. But at the same time, I went towards San Francisco because they have their guys coming back. And I think I'm kind of spoiling it right now. Let's go ahead and give it to it. Our next award here. This is my like I said, I'm getting a little specific here. This is our 1-point game of the week. I have the Niners winning this one 24-23. Like I said, I'm expecting this game to be close. I'll explain everything down here in just a few moments of why I'm picking those. But 24-23, I'm feeling pretty damn good about that. Like I said, not expecting a lot of crazy scoring. Now I'm expecting both defenses to have good defensive moments. Both teams do have an underrated defense, but I am questioning more towards San Francisco's defense because during the offseason they let go everybody. The guy they really kept on the roster and defensively was Trent Williams, and I'm kind of curious how that's going to work out for San Francisco this season. But the only reason why I took San Francisco here is because they got their main guys and they got him back. Like CMC fully healthy. I would kind of expect it to be fully healthy in this matchup. San Francisco, they still have George Kittle, Brock Purdy, and plus they still have enough receiver depth. They still, even without Debo this year, they got Parcel, they got Jawan Jennings. So I think San Francisco just has a very, and plus they did also get Bijan Robinson. So if Christian McCaffrey ever gets to or not close to 100%, not Bijan Robinson, but Brian Robinson, I think he can step up. I think he can do some great things there in San Francisco. But I can see Seattle winning this game too because, like I said, Seattle's got the offense. Sam Darnold, he's coming off a really good season last year, but I think I just have more questions about Seattle more than I do with San Francisco. That's probably why I took San Francisco in this game. I have more questions about Seattle. I have more questions how Sam Darnold, how he's going to do with that offense. Obviously, that's a downgrade from what he had last year because he was on the Vikings last year, and they have all the offensive tools they got now except for Adam Thielen. And Seattle, even though they do have good offensive weapons too, that's normally at running back. The Seattle doesn't really have enough as good receivers as Minnesota has. But I'm curious how Cooper Kupp does there. He's a former Rams player, so I hope he does pretty well down there. I'm going to be rooting for him. Jackson McButt, Kenneth Walker. So it's going to be interesting. I do think Seattle has a good chance of winning though. That's kind of my reasoning here why I'm taking Seattle with the +2.5, because I actually do think they have a good chance of winning as well. But I am going to take San Francisco in this one, just by 1 point. But like I said, I will take Seattle +2.5 because I'm kind of expecting this game to go back and forth. I'm just leaning more towards San Francisco's depth with George Kittle and their defense, and come away with one big play at the end for the seal of the deal. But like I said, this one could go either way. I would not be mad if I got this one wrong, but over 43.5, I feel that's the one I'm feeling more comfortable about anything I'm picking here on this board right now. So I'm gonna give this touch to San Francisco, but this is another game I can just see going either way. Oh boy, talking about either way games. Next up, we got Detroit taking on Green Bay, and let's just go ahead and give it to me. I think I kind of already spoiled yesterday, and let's go ahead and dive into it. This is my trickiest game of the week award. And like I said, this was, out of all the games this week, I find this one the hardest for me to pick on, because I don't know, because Detroit, like I said yesterday, Detroit has the dog type mentality, and I know the majority, and I know a lot of people are picking Green Bay because they picked up Michael Parsons, and I do agree with you. I do think that Green Bay is going to be a Super Bowl contender out of the NFC, and I definitely would not be surprised if that happened. Oh wait, I made a mistake over there. I said that says under. I meant over. I meant over with this game. Plus, I'm pretty sure you guys can see that because the score that I have 29-26. So of course I'm going to be taking the over with this one. I just made a mistake. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and make that correction right now. So I'm going to pause the screen here real quick. But Detroit, I think this is going to be a hell of a game, man. I think this one could go either way. It's going to go back and forth. But like I said, the Lions got that dog type mentality. The Lions reminds me of one of those teams that can go out there and they could just win. They could just go out there and win on the road. Regardless, they can win no matter who the competition is on the road. Remember the Detroit Lions. They were actually unbeaten on the road just a season ago, and I do think they have a great chance to do that again this upcoming season. So I'm feeling really good about this pick. Pick wise, I mean, especially with the over, that's probably the only thing I'm really feeling confident about here. Detroit +2.5. I'm actually kind of surprised Detroit's underdogs in this game. I'm not gonna lie, I'm surprised they are. Now you can say like in Lambeau Field, in Green Bay. Okay, so you're probably leaning towards the Packers there, right? Because it's in Lambeau. But the good news is the Lions they're going into Lambeau the best time of the year when it's not that cold yet. So which I do think that will give the Lions an advantage. But I don't know. This game, like I said, could go either way. This was my hardest pick. I think I literally stared down at this game until when I uploaded the pick show yesterday. But man, this was difficult. It was not easy. But I feel like I'm gonna go with Detroit. They got that dog mentality. I know they lost their coordinators, but I don't really care. Detroit, they still have that team. They still have Dan Campbell. They still have Jared Goff. They still have the Sonic and Knuckles. They still have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. So they still have all their players. So I'm gonna lean towards Detroit in this one. But I can see Jordan Love absolutely going off. I can see Michael Parsons having an impact if he does play that many reps. This is his first game as a Packer. I can see so many scenarios happening in this game. But I'm gonna lean towards Detroit in this one. Like I said, I'm kind of surprised I'm not picking Green Bay here, and if I'm wrong, I'm probably gonna look back at this video and say like, oh my gosh, why did I not pick the Packers here? But I'm gonna lean towards Detroit in this one. Like I said, dog mentality. Even without the coordinators, I do think they'll figure out a way to get the job done, as they always done since last season. So I'm gonna go Detroit 29-26 in a absolute shootout here. Alright, next up here we got the Houston Texans taking on against my Los Angeles Rams, and I'm going to lean toward my boys on this one. I'm going to take them 30-21 here. But this is not no guarantee for the Rams. Is this a guaranteed win for my Rams? Absolutely not. I'm pretty sure everybody can say this is not a guaranteed win. Matter of fact, I would call this like a I wouldn't call it like necessarily a guaranteed win, but I would call it a win that I'm kind of like comfortable about. And the only reason I'm comfortable as a Rams fan in this game, because here's the reason why. The Texans do not have George Mixon in this game. They also do not have Tank Dell yet, which those two, as you know, that's a huge piece about their offense. By the way, George Pickens, that's a huge piece about their offense, or Joe Mixon, that's a huge part about their offense. But at the same time, the Texans are still a really good defensive team. I'm still expecting the Texans to be really good defensively. There is a chance that they could give the Rams a little bit of a hard problem. If that's the case, I will not be shocked at all here. But the deciding factor for me would go with LA. And like I said, there's probably going to be times I'm going to pick against the Rams this season. I'm not biased. I'm not a biased fan. There's going to be times that I do pick against the Rams just because I just don't like the matchup for them that week. But the really reason why I'm really going with the Rams is because I trust their offense. I trust their coaching. I trust Sean McVay with all of my heart. I think he can get the job done for my boys this week. So I'm going to take him 30-21 here. Like I said, Sean McVay, I think he'll have enough. Sean McVay is one of the hardest, one of the smartest coaches in the league. I do think he will be able to get the job done here. When you look at him, Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Devontae Adams, who I think is really going to be a really good addition this year. Kyron Williams. I just think that's a lot to rely on for Houston's defense, especially without some of their starters going into this game. So I like the Rams taking care of business with this one, but I can absolutely see the Texans hanging around in this game because they still have their offense. They still have Nico Collins, who we have to worry about in the secondary. They still have C.J. Stroud, but I like the Rams defense up front, and I do think he's going to cause C.J. Stroud some little discomfort. So that part of me is like feeling pretty damn good about my chances. So I'm gonna lean towards the Rams in this game just because of that ability. I like them up front, but this one could go either way here. But I'm gonna lean towards LA in this one, especially with them being the more healthier team too. So over 43.5, Rams minus 3.5. I'm also feeling pretty comfortable about that as well. Like I said, I'm kind of expect this one to be one of the funner games of the week when it comes to like total and like offensive wise, defensive wise. I think this one's gonna be one of the funner games out of the entire weekend. I just rely on my boys a little bit more because that they're at home. Even though people do say that LA doesn't really have a fan base. I mean, I guess I kind of get what you're coming from there, but yeah, I'm gonna go towards my boys in this one. They win this one, 30-21. Expect this game to be close, entertaining, but I'm gonna lean towards my boys in week 1. Alright, next up we got some Sunday Night Football. We got the Ravens taking on against the Buffalo Bills, and we have our final award of the week. It is the best game of the week because I'm pretty sure you guys all expect that to happen. This is this week's best game of the week because, hey, why not? This is two legitimate teams here going at it. This is the AFC's contenders here as well as the Chiefs battling it out here in Buffalo in Sunday Night Football. And listen, I was kind of hesitant about this pick. I was really hesitant because you know the deal about Buffalo over here. But I'm not even going to explain about each team's rosters because we already know what to expect. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, I already know what to expect out of them. Josh Allen, like we already know what to say about that. But I was kind of, like I said, I was hesitant about this pick, and the only reason why is because the Bills are really tough to pick against in Buffalo. When you go into the Bills Stadium, it's for an opponent, it's really hard to win in there, like really hard. That's why when the Bills have a home game, you're like, okay, I might as well go with the Bills. It's a guarantee that the Bills are going to get the job done here because the Bills are so good at home. I think the Bills went undefeated at home last year, but I'm gonna go with the Ravens in here, man. Something's telling me that the wild card weekend really pissed off. Well, not wild card weekend, the divisional round really pissed off the Ravens, and I think they're going. I have a feeling that they're going to go out there and they're going to give it their all. They're going to go out there and they're going to play physicality. They're going to play with hunger and force. I think they're going to run the ball all over Buffalo because Buffalo's main weakness on defense has been against the run, which I do think that opens up more targets or more opportunities for Derrick Henry. And overall, even though I do expect this game to be close, and I'm expecting Josh Allen to keep it minute. Don't get me wrong, Josh Allen, he was the MVP of the league last year. I do think that he will keep the Bills in the game, but I just feel like the better team and the better matchup just favors Baltimore. Like over here, like I think the better team, the team that's more consistent, the team that's more complete in my opinion, with a really good defense as well. I just feel like that's the Ravens. So I'm going to lean towards the Baltimore in this one, but I'm going to take them in a 31-28 shootout. Listen, I'm very excited for this game, and this is probably going to be the game that we watch together this week, which I would be really excited if that's the case. But yeah, I'm gonna choose. But yeah, Ravens. I'm gonna lean towards the Ravens. Like, play revenge. I think the Ravens probably knew that they probably should have won this many last year, but yeah, like I said, I'm going towards Baltimore in this game. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm going to lean towards the Ravens. I'm going to take the Ravens plus 1.5. And then I'm also going to take the over 50. I mean, like I said, I don't even care what the over is. When you have a game like this, it doesn't really matter what the over is, because you already know that's going to be over. Especially in a game like this, like you just have to take the over. But Baltimore plus 1.5. I'm not surprised that they're underdogs in this game, but because like I said, it's in Buffalo. It's one of the hardest, going into one of the hardest teams that you can play on the road. But Sunday Night Football, Ravens revenge. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, they do enough on the ground, and I think they get the win here. Like I said, this is going to be a very entertaining game, but I'm gonna go with my gut here. My gut is say revenge for the Ravens. Alright, here, ladies and gentlemen, we are at finally our last game of the day. It is the Vikings at the Bears. I'm going to lean towards Minnesota in this one, 24-18. But this game probably had the most confusion out of me, man. Like, I didn't pick this game because I'm trying to decide who the better team is. Me personally, it was just hard. This pick was just hard. I think it was just hard for anybody to make this pick, honestly, because I don't know what kind of team the Bears are going to be or the Vikings are going to be, but let me tell you specifically why I chose the Vikings to win this game. So the Vikings, like, we already know what they have on offense. You know, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. We already know what to expect out of them, but like I said, in today's NFL, I think the teams, how they perform offensively, majority comes down to the quarterback. And we have not seen JJ McCarthy play an NFL game yet. So I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, JJ McCarthy, he needs to go out there. We need to see him play. This is his first action, and it's in his own prime time too. So I was like, okay, if JJ McCarthy can play well, Minnesota could be about the same team as they were last year, because they have a really good team already. Plus, they already have a stacked defense. That's also kind of why I'm leaning towards the Vikings in this one, because I trust their defense way more. I know that Minnesota still has a really good defense, or at least it should still have a really good defense. So that's kind of another reason why I went with the Vikings here. But the main reason I look with the Vikings is because I just look at the Bears and I just see confusion. I do not know what to expect out of the Bears. You can't predict the Bears. The Bears, just remind, they're just a confusing ass franchise, man. They're confusing. Like you try to picture what the Bears are gonna be like. They have talent every single year. Last year, right? Last year we expected the Bears to be good. Were they good last year? No. But the Bears, man, they're so confusing. They're so confusing. They're either gonna be really good, mid, or ass. They're either going to be one of those three, and they were mid all 3 years. The question is, can you guys finally do? I know you guys have potential, because we talk about all the time. The Bears, they have potential. They're good. They're good at receiver. They're good at running back. I like what Kelly Williams and what he's going to do this year. I like their offense. I think their defense is underrated, but the question is, can the Bears, can they finally put it together? Plus, Ben Johnson as their offensive coordinator, or as their head coach now, I think that's really going to help the Bears about what they do offensively. I don't know about defensively, but it's really going to help them what they do offensively and change their offensive minds. But I'm gonna leave with the team I just trust more in this matchup. You know, because all you're really looking for is like JJ McCarthy playing well over here, and then if the whole team just plays well over there. So I'm gonna go with the Vikings in this one. I'm gonna take them plus 1.5. I'm kind of surprised they're underdogs in this game, but like I said, not expecting a lot of scoring here. That's why I'm also gonna take the under with this one, 43.5. Both teams got some pretty solid defenses, so I'm gonna kind of stay away from the over on that one, and I'm gonna go towards the under this one, 43.5. But I'm gonna give the size to the Vikings, guys. And that will do it for today. Like I said, if you guys have already, make sure to hit the like, subscribe before you, make sure to join the Discord. And I will see you guys next time. This is BimmerNation.com. Peace out, stay safe, enjoy week 1, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.